and welcome to the first live stream of the new year. We did a bit of a test run a couple of weeks ago, but we're back with the weekly painting stream now. How are we doing, guys? I'm joined by Dave, Jay, and Andy. How are we all doing?
Hello, Happy New Year, belatedly.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, it's come around quickly, hasn't it?
Well, it's like we're already in nearly the second week of January now.
Flying by. Absolutely flying by. So today we're going to be painting some stuff. I'm going to be building some stuff. You can see on my desk in the corner there, I've got 2 Start Collecting Beast of Chaos boxes that I'm going to be building up on the show today because I want to try and get a Beast of Chaos army together before the new book comes out. So looking forward to doing that. Dave, what is on your painting desk at the minute?
I have got 5 Carskin, and I've also got 5 members of a command squad, 2 of which are painted, but I've got 3 others to finish.
Nice. Cool. Jay, I see some blue dwarfs on your screen.
Yeah, still working on the dwarfs. I made quite good progress this week. So these are the Hearthkin Pioneers. So I've painted up some of these before in the Great Arthurian League colours for the review a few months back, and I've built them in one big kit, assembly, and it was really painful to paint them really hard. So these guys are all in sub-assemblies, and to be honest, it's been much easier painting them. So.
Well, that's cool. And Andy, you're very quiet in the corner. Is that some Chaos Space Marines you're working on there?
Yeah, so I've got Corner Betrayer, and some Chaos Terminators on my paint desk at the minute.
Ooh, are these all in anticipation of the new World Eaters book?
Well, yeah. So I want to get them done, obviously, for World Eaters, and that's going to be sort of like the HQ choice and sort of the elites done for them, and it's just going to be some Corn Berserkers and whatever else tends to my fancy. But with the release of boarding actions, I thought to myself, you know what would make an awesome boarding action force?
Ooh, well, I think we'll probably be talking boarding actions tonight as we go on the stream. We're going to be streaming for a couple of hours, talking hobby and working on stuff. If you are with us out in the chat as well, say hello. So we've got Bearded Brigand saying hello and Daz Moore saying hello over on Twitch as well.
Hi guys.
Evening, gents.
Have you guys had a good Christmas? Has everyone got any goodies off Santa, hobby-wise? This Beast of Chaos boxes I got from my brother for my birthday, which was last week or something like that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing this because I've wanted to do a Beast of Chaos army for a long time and never done one, surprisingly, considering I have so many different Chaos armies.
You are a Chaos God, Matt.
It's unusual that I've not done one before, so I feel like I've let the side down by not doing Beast of Chaos previously. My brother used to have a metal Beast of Chaos army back in the day, and they were really cool models. A lot of the models, they've been kicking around a little while now, haven't they? And it's a bit of a shame that it doesn't seem like we're getting a load of new kits for them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what we do get because I think they need a little bit of love.
But they do have some nice kits though, especially those big the Cygors. Is that what they're called?
The big monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a witch hunting monster in Oslo.
I think that's the one on the front there with the
Cygor.
I think that is the Cygor there with his.
I like the scenery piece as well.
Yeah, that's something that they've not kind of done recently, isn't it? Kind of scenery pieces for armies. Like the Orcs didn't get a new one, did they? Or the Storm.
And Endless Spells.
Yeah. So that seems to have passed us by recently. What's everyone's thoughts on them? I know for 40k, we've had some that have kind of like been discontinued, like the Gene Stealer Cults had their drill, which isn't in the rules now.
Oh, right.
And you can't buy the model anymore, so unusual one.
I think you probably saw people take less of them in 40k, because in Age of Sigmar you sort of got them for free, didn't you? With your army generally.
Do you think there's an argument for having them free in 40k? As like a part of your army. It's like built into the balance of the army.
If everybody had one, yeah.
It's a bit different in 40k though, isn't it? Because you typically tend to see a lot more scenery on the board. So then it just takes away from the need to have some of the scenery, faction-specific scenery in 40k.
Yeah.
Plus, you look at it and like financially, some of them are like what 40 quid ish. It's like, do you spend it on a scenery piece that doesn't really do much, or do you spend it on miniatures that you can have in your army and stuff like that? I mean, if it was free and it wasn't horrendously expensive, then yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the more pot for my ogres. That's in my pile of potential right now. And I keep looking at that and thinking it's a gorgeous model and it's a nice scenery piece, but it doesn't do a huge amount.
No, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? I think the idea was that not everybody has a big scenery collection, do they? Like, we're quite lucky. We've got tables and loads of scenery. Where for other people, if they're just playing at the local club, I think the idea was it's quite nice for them to be able to bring a single piece of scenery themed to their army to kind of represent their army on the battlefield, which I think was a cool
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the idea of it having a piece of your scenery on the board. But yeah, I think I can see why it's kind of got away from 40k. But I just wish every army had one in Sigmar.
Yeah, it's you never know. As we see the armies kind of get cycled through, might see more of that perhaps. A lot of them do have them now, don't they, for AOS? There's very few really that don't have one.
It's a Sigma and Orcs, isn't it? The only ones that don't have them, I think.
And the Stormcast.
And Stormcast.
Of course, yeah.
And technically Soulblight, although they have got grave sites, I suppose, but they're more like markers than scenery.
Yeah, I don't know. I like them, but then I'm a bit of a scenery nerd, and I know a lot of people don't like scenery. Yeah, let us know in the chat what you think of this as well. Dasmore just said, now with the little one about I don't get anything for Christmas. Yeah, I guess you guys know that feeling, don't you?
Absolutely. I did get the new Pokemon though.
You got the new Pokemon. Is it any good?
Yeah, I really like it. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
See, I heard bad things. That it was a bit of a bug fest.
I've not encountered a single bug yet.
Dave's got lots of fire Pokemon.
Funny.
It was when it first came out, but I think they've released like they've released a couple of updates for it now, and it seems to be working all right.
Well, that's good to know.
I've just been going back and playing Let's Go Pikachu. Start from beginning, sort of thing.
Fair enough. In non-Pokemon related stuff, has anyone been working on anything exciting over the last few weeks?
So I've been. Oh, sorry, Jake. You go.
You go, Dave.
Actually, I have. I've been trying out the Army Painter speed paints. Actually, and I've got next to me. I don't know if you can see him very well. Can you see that, Matt?
I can indeed see that. So
that is a. I call him Evil Gotrek. He's one of the Spire Tyrants for Warcry, and he's been painted up. He's been painted up aside from the metallics with speed paints.
Oh yeah.
So very hit and miss for me. Some of the colours are really nice, like that purple and the orange. The skin I wasn't so fond of. The main thing to take away from it is the paint is a lot more, I would call, watery than contrast, so it takes a little bit of getting used to. It runs a bit freer, and also you have to be really careful because if you make a mistake and you try and sort of speed paint over the top of it like a different color, it reactivates it. So that could be a bit of an annoyance. But other than that, the coverage is great. It really does go into the recesses. And like I say, some of those, like the purple, is really nice. I'm going to be using that on some of my other projects, I think. So yeah, I'll have a full written review up very soon on the website. I just need to do a little bit more with it.
So do you think you'll be adding them to your toolbox then, or would you rather stick with contrast?
No, I think I'll be using a couple of the colours from this range on future projects, just not all of them.
Yeah, interestingly, Vallejo have recently brought out their contrast equivalent. I forget what it's called, quick paint or something. I'm sure. It seems
running out of names.
It seems everyone's getting in on the kind of contrast style paint type, which is not a bad thing. I mean, I use contrast for glazing and stuff, and they're really, really good for that. I think you do as well, Jay, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I tend to now as well. Like say, just mix them straight with water. I don't mind doing just that now.
Oh, same here. Yeah, same here. They're really nice to. if you kind of block in the main colours and then use them over it as a kind of a wash, you kind of get the shading effect from the contrast, but you don't have the problem that you sometimes get with like tide marks and a bit of a chalky consistency to them. I never use them over like a white or a cream colour now, because I think they just act better over solid base colours. Personally, obviously, you know, everyone's mileage may vary on that. I know you're still a fan of doing them straight over white, aren't you, Dave?
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, they're my prime. I still use quite a few Citadel colours, but yeah, I do lean on contrast quite a lot. The Cadians that I'm painting now are mainly contrast, and I'm really happy with them so far.
Yeah, and you know, it's just another, I guess, thing to put in your toolbox, isn't it? There's some models that will work really well with anything kind of organic. Is great with contrast. The Gulliman Flesh is an amazing colour as well. Like I say, there's some more advanced things you can do with them too, but that doesn't mean that you can't, you know, go to town with, you know, getting something painted really quickly, which is what they're a massive help for, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to paint my Skaven without them.
Yeah. So no, that's really cool. In the chat, Arnold DeGan says all the best for 2023. Oh, thank you very much. Hope you're having a good New Year too. Anonymous Rex, hello, how you doing? They wish Slaves to Darkness had a terrain piece and the Caradrons. You know what? I'd love to see like a Skyport scenery piece or something.
Yeah, that would be cool. The Fire Slaves have got this.
That'd be very cool.
Forge, haven't they? Yeah.
They have, yeah. The Fire Slaves.
They have their pizza oven.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess on what we're painting at the minute, we've got a lot. I think I'm the odd one out with the AOS, but we've got a lot of Path to Glory and Crusade stuff kind of on the horizon, haven't we? Jay, you're going to the Warhammer World Crusade event in a couple of weeks. I'm coming along with you. I don't know what army I'm using. I'll wing that as I get to it. But are these squats that you're working on for that then?
Yeah, they are. So I've got these bikes to finish, and actually I'm making really good progress on these bikes. I'm surprised myself with how quick they're coming along. And then one more unit of Hearthkin Warriors to paint after these. And that's the, I say that's the army finished. What I have got to do is go back and paint all of the heads. So you can see the dwarfs here, they haven't got no heads. All the other dwarfs I've painted are missing heads. So I'm going to paint all those in batch. With my skin tones all mixed out. So I think I might even get the wet palette out for that so I can get all the faces painted. Just this week, I've been working on these guys. These are the Thunderkin. So again, I'm missing the heads, but these were a really nice unit to paint. This is the heavy support with the Hecaton Land Fortress. I've got a unit of bikes, which I'm doing now, 2 units of 10 warriors, and then I've got an Iron Hair champion, a Brockhair Iron Master in his retinue, and a Carl to join them. So I'm really looking forward to the event. I've not actually used these in a game yet, so I'm hoping I can squeeze in a game before we go, so at least I know how the army works.
Yeah, well, I'll need a practice game of whatever army I decide to bring as well, so yeah, don't worry, I'll be on that too. I'm torn. I don't know. Should we put a vote to the chat? I like leaving things to the chat because it makes less of a decision for me to make. So I'm thinking either Genestealer Cults, which would be very cool, Demons, which also would be quite cool, the Death Corps of Krieg, or I was toying with the Iron Ravens, Jay.
Yeah, the Space Marines. I said that the other day. I think that would be cool to take them.
So what's your guys' thoughts, and what's the consensus in the chat? Because I'll always leave decisions to the chat because it's easier.
What did you take last time to the first part of this event?
The first part, I took Chaos Space Marines.
Okay.
Word Bearers. Which I could also take them as well, but I fancy taking a different army. I like taking a different army to different events, you see.
I don't think you should take Chaos Demons. I'm leaning towards telling you to take Genestealer Cults or Space Marines, I think.
Now there is a more kind of out there choice as well.
Well,
because the event is set within like a Necron Tomb world, so I could just take the Necrons
I think that would be cool.
and be the bad guys.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. It's been a while since using Necrons, Matt.
It is, and they're really nice models, and I've not used them for a while, so I might even do them. We'll leave the powers that be in the chat to decide the ultimate decision, but yeah, I'm thinking leaning towards that because that'd be really, really cool. Because then, like you say, with the Chaos Demons, Dave, we're going to be doing our own little Sprues and Brews crusade thing, using them.
Yeah.
When's the kickoff for that, Dave? I think we're due to start that
We
soon,
should be
aren't we?
seeing. Yeah, the plan was to get a battle report on the website and on YouTube by the end of the month, and I think we're still there is still a chance that's going to happen. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Our socials are the best place to keep an eye on, because once you've recorded it, we'll be posting information on our social media, so you'll know to keep an eye open for it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. We had a bit of a practice game the other day, didn't we, Dave?
We did, yeah. It was the first time I'd used my Imperial Guard, and I really enjoyed it. Playing against your Khorne Demons, pretty much I think you said it was the force that you're going to take on the little crusade.
It's pretty much exactly the force I'm going to use on the crusade. It's point. We played points. We were doing a test game for the Arcs of Omen mission pack, weren't we, as part of our review coverage?
Yeah.
So obviously points to power. There might be slightly more, slightly less, depending on how it kind of fits out. But I think roughly it's the same army, and it was really fun, wasn't it? We that demon with the upgrade's pretty strong, isn't he?
He is absolutely nails. So you can only take 8 damage a phase.
Yep.
He had a feel no pain. He was very tough, and he kept making his 4+ invulnerable saves as well, which was really annoying. I did take him down eventually, but I'd probably lost the game by then.
Yeah, so I think you killed it turn 4. I think after the game, I was like, if you'd have not put any firepower into him, he'd have only lasted a single turn more because you went after me as well. So I don't know if there's an argument for maybe ignoring him, put that firepower into the rest of the army that was actually scoring things, where he was just being a big distraction and killing stuff.
The problem was, you were just basically just wandering around the battlefield killing whatever you wanted with him, and you were killing my scoring units. So it's a tough one. Maybe I shouldn't have dedicated so much firepower into him, but it was still an awful lot of fun. I learned a lot about the guard. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to using them again.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Bloodthirster, wasn't it?
The Bloodthirster, yeah, with I forget what the upgrade's called, but the one where you can only take 8 wounds per phase. So some armies have got a bit more of a chance against him, because if you've got psychic powers or you've got a decent melee, you could take him down. There was actually a situation where you probably could have killed him a turn earlier, because we found out very late on that with some stratagems, a tank's quite formidable in combat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, up to weapon skill to 2 or 3+, gives them a bit of extra strength. It's quite tasty, but yeah, found that out a bit too late on. I also had no psychers in that 1,000-point game as well. So, like you say, I was literally just relying on the shooting phase to take him down.
Yeah, but you did take him down eventually, and that's a moral victory.
Absolutely.
In the chat, Steve Harbour says, evening all, this is an unexpected surprise. Thanks for joining us, Steve. So yeah, every Sunday, 7 till 9 UK time, we're going to be streaming. We did a bit of a test stream before Christmas and ironed out some of the technical issues, but it seems like we're all up and running now, which is good. I can see you guys, I can hear you guys. Hopefully you guys at home can see and hear us too. So yeah, we're doing these. With this being up and running as well, we do want to get some of the live streams back as well, with probably a focus on some smaller games, like boarding action, maybe games of
what a segue that is, Matt. What a segue that is.
That was a pro segue, wasn't it? So yeah, the big thing that we've seen kind of shown off in the last few days, or at last track of time, yesterday even, is boarding action out of Arcs of Omen Abaddon, the latest supplement for Warhammer 40,000. And you guys, I know you read the review I put up yesterday, and I had multiple messages back saying how excited you were to play this.
I can't wait to play boarding actions. I really like the idea of those actions, and I also really like the idea of a small army. So it's like 500 points, isn't it? I think.
Yes, the 500 point game. In fact, you know what? I have got the book on hand. Let me get this into camera.
Because I'm thinking we can perhaps use the rules in our crusade and play some 25 power level boarding action crusade missions as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, it worked really well as part of that. So apologies with the lighting, you might not be able to see that great. Let's move that down here. So boarding patrol is a new detachment that is just for boarding action games. So basically you've got an optional 0-1 HQ choice. You've got 0 to 3 troops and 0 to 3 elites. Obviously you can't take any heavies, you can't take any fast, you can't take anything with the monster, vehicle, jump pack, cavalry, biker or fly keywords. So that obviously does restrict a lot of the stuff that you can take, but this is meant to represent stuff that is going to be doing a boarding action on a spacecraft. Obviously, you're not going to roll in with, as much as you'd love to, Dave, they're not going to send a drop pod with a Lehman Russ in there and try and force that down the corridors of a...
With a Rogel Dawn.
Exactly, yeah. It's probably not going to happen. Though your Kasarkin, crack troops going in there, yeah, really, really good. Troops, you can take the multiple troops choices. Say if you, I forget what your standard guys are called. Hearthkin, are they called? Your standard guys?
Earthkin Warriors.
So you could take 3 squads of Hearthkin Warriors if you wanted to. The elites choices, however, all have to be different units. So you couldn't take 3 units of Assault Terminators, for example. So that is kind of where the balance is built in. You'll note that you don't have to take a HQ because you can take a squad leader as your warlord as well if you did want to lean into a particular type of army. There are advantages to taking a character though, because they get additional enhancements, they're called, which you'll note is similar to the terminology used in Age of Sigmar. So instead of relics or warlord traits, they can get an enhancement and they do different things. Over on Warcom, they've got some army lists for all the factions as well, and some interesting stuff as well, like the Agents of the Imperium, Dave. I know you've been wanting to do an army of these. Sorry, and it's difficult to do that in 40k because it's quite an elite force and there's limited options. Well, now with this detachment, you can absolutely take an Inquisitor and some Imperial Navy and a rogue trader and their crew as an army for boarding patrol. And I think that would be really, really fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be taking advantage of those rules and building an Inquisitor force for boarding actions. I really enjoyed your review, Matt, and I also got round to watching a battle report as well. So I've actually seen it in action now, and yeah, we need to get on it.
It is a really, really cool game. I think the most exciting thing for me, let me try and get this on camera, it might not show very well. No, it's not going to work, is it? Are the actions. So a lot of the stuff that was kind of stratagems in 40k proper has now become actions. So control of an objective is only if you're within an inch of an objective. And that's a really tight kind of like radius, isn't it, compared to what we're used to in 40k and AOS.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an action you can do. At the end of your movement phase, you can do this action. It's completed at the start of your next command phase, which does potentially give the opponent time to get you off. But basically, once you've completed that action, you have got control of that objective, even if you move off it, until the enemy takes it back. I'd love to see that in proper 40k, because it gives you a really good... I guess it gives you a decision, doesn't it? Do you shoot as normal, or do you actually focus this unit on locking down this objective so you can move off it next turn?
Is that action specific to troops choices?
Objective secured choices, yeah.
Okay.
So there's ways to give other units objective secured as well, isn't there? So like I said, there's a bit of flexibility. Generally speaking, though, for most armies, it's going to be those like troops choices, though. So that's really cool. The other fun one is Overwatch. So Overwatch isn't a stratagem anymore. You don't pay a CP to shoot the opponent when they charge you. Instead, at the end of your movement phase, you can choose to set Overwatch. And what that means is when your opponent completes any move, and that could just be a normal move, it could be a charge, it could be, I don't know, a falling back. When they complete any type of move, your unit, as long as it's got line of sight to them, can shoot them. Hitting on 6s like normal Overwatch. There are ways to make it 5s though. I would love to see that replace the Overwatch rules for 40k.
Yeah, I don't think I'd say no to that, actually. It feels very much like an active... I know you're a big fan of Infinity, Jay, and you can do stuff like that in that, can't you?
Yeah, you can. I can't remember what it's called now. But yeah, it's very similar. I think it's like an old second edition
Yeah,
thing as well, wasn't it?
that's how Overwatch worked in second edition 40k. You sacrifice your shooting in your shooting phase in order for a chance to shoot your opponent in their turn. Obviously, hitting on 6s, it's not as reliable, but especially in games of Boarding Patrol, where you've got people like opening doors and running down corridors and stuff, you can set up like proper choke points. We've all seen like sci-fi films where you've got a squad like hunkered down, ready to shoot whoever comes through the door, and it absolutely captures kind of that feeling in here. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I think that'll work really well in boarding games.
And I think it'd work really well in 40k too. Imagine a full game of 40k where you've got a unit in a building kind of trained on an objective. So when your opponent kind of does shenanigans and gets a unit out of a building, they can then open up and fire. I think that'd be really, really fun. The other one is set to defend. Again, that was the other option for Overwatch in 40k. Instead, you can give up your shooting for a +1 to hit in combat when the opponent charges you. So another fun action. And you can also open doorways as well. That's an action if there's nobody else there. At the end of your movement phase, the door opens, which is cool. But obviously, if it's at the end of your movement phase, you kind of got to think a turn ahead for opening the doors and clearing pathways. And that gets rid of the problem that you sometimes see in Necromunda, where one person will open door with their action, shoot with their mate, and then the other player will close the door, and it just turns to the door opening and closing over the entire kind of turn.
Yeah.
Where this gets really interesting, though, is that if there's an opposing unit within an inch of that same door, they're not just going to let you open it, they will wrestle for control of the door. So you do like an opposed strength test. You both roll a d6 and add your strength, and the winning side gets to choose whether the door's open or closed. So you can imagine like this guardman like wrestling the door closed as a Chaos Terminator is trying to open it. Yeah, it's probably more likely that the Chaos Terminator opens it, but you've got that cinematic moment where this poor guy is with all his might just holding that door closed.
That's cool.
Recreate that, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
Terminator versus Guardsman.
Really, really fun stuff in here. So like this, if you are watching on YouTube, you should be able to see this review. It's up now. I've also got a full write-up over on spruesandbrews.com as well, with a bit more kind of in-depth kind of write-up into what happens in those boarding action games. But yeah, we absolutely need to do it. In the chat, Anonymous Rex says, go with the theme, the Crons will be ace. Jem says, Necrons every time. A Crusade is a great chance to run an Annihilation Legion list. Loads of fun. I Can Mix says, Happy New Year to you all. How are you doing, I Can Mix? Steve Harbour says, good to see the streams back. Stefano Pavoleno says, hello, everybody. I Can Mix. Would love to see some more games played, like boarding actions, to see how it plays out. Absolutely want to do that. I think it'd be a nice little one for us to stream. Also, would be great to see a game of Infinity or Marvel Crisis Protocol. Well, good news, I Can Mix. Jay, you've been super keen to get some Infinity on the channel, haven't you?
Yeah. I'm actually working on some. I've got 2 armies I'm working on. They're the Knights Templar, which are like almost like Black Templars, but in Infinity, and I've got some Japanese sectorial as well, which I picked up. So I will be working on those because one of my New Year's resolution was to do it a bit more non-Warhammer painting. So
yeah, that's really cool. And also Marvel Crisis Protocol. I've been keen to get you guys playing for ages. It's such a cool game. I have got somewhere Ronin the Accursor on my painting desk. So I painted the Guardians of the Galaxy. I want to kind of get a little Guardians of the Galaxy affiliation group done. And then after that, I fancy painting either the Black Order, because, you know, you got to have Thanos, haven't you? Or,
absolutely.
Or the Asgardians.
Ooh.
So yeah, Andy, you recently picked up some Marvel Crisis Protocol as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I bought the Incredible Hulk, or as he's called, Hulk. Just to try out. I wanted to paint something, like Jay said, non-Games Workshop, and without buying the core set, the cheapest model that I could find was actually the Hulk. which is a really nice model just to get a feel for sort of the plastics and stuff like that from. Is it Atomic Mass Games that
Atomic
do
Mass
it?
Games, yeah. So they're a
Um,
slightly bigger scale. I forget the exact scale, 40 millimeters or something like that. So the bigger than games. But in fact, if we get so there's the Shaman I've just built. If we get Ronan out, he's quite a bit bigger, isn't he? So they've got kind of a bit of a
Yeah.
bulkier mass to them. I think you'd really enjoy painting them, Dave, because you like quite big chunky figures as well.
And I love Marvel. I'm tempted to do what Andy's done and pick up a model and paint it, and I think that'll get me grip then. So yeah, I'll have to get one on payday, I think.
Yeah, so I think there's less and less. The starter box is very good. If you want all of the heroes in that starter box, you can get the rulers and stuff online cheap, and there's lots of options for apps for the cards and stuff. Obviously the dice and the measurers and stuff. But if you're not
Well,
using
next
any of the
month.
figures in the box, there's less of an argument for picking that up, because you could say if you want to do, I don't know, Spider-Man Dave, for a similar price, you could pick up an entire Spider-Man force and have all models that you want to use and want to paint as well, rather than
Yeah.
maybe only wanting to paint 2 or 3 out of the box. And people sell those
Yeah.
miniatures online anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, the good thing about
Well, I
it.
think next month.
Oh, go on, Andy.
Next month, I think I'm definitely going to pick up the core set. And one of the nice things about the Hulk is he fits in with the Avengers. So
Yeah.
I can use them in conjunction with the stuff from the core set, and that should give me more than enough stuff to play. Because it's like you play random power level, don't you? You effectively pick 10 heroes, and you pick a scenario, and the scenario tells you how many heroes you can effectively have, and then you pick from the 10 heroes that you've got to
Yeah.
play the game. And I quite like that.
Yeah. So basically, army building, like Andy said, you pick 10 heroes and or Infinity Stones. So you can take an Infinity Stone in place of a hero. And as part of your list building, you'll pick certain scenarios basically, and they'll have a threat level on them. That threat level represents the combined, I guess, points, for using like 40k terminology, of models that you can take, and they range from like 16 to 18, I think. So as long as you've got models that can fill that gap, then you're fine. Realistically, 17 power is between like 4 and 6 models, so you don't have to start with a full 10-man roster. You could just pick up one of the affiliate boxes. So there's a Spider-Man one, there's an Asgard one, there's a Black Order one, and with that, you've probably got enough models to play like 4 games with them. Your assembled kind of team, more than half the models have to share the same affiliation. So we mentioned the Avengers. If you had 5 models, 3 of them have to be Avengers, but the other 2 can be whoever you want, to represent the fact that in comic books, different teams and affiliations change all the time. You know, you could be using Spider Foes and you've got a mind-controlled Hulk or something in there. You know, there's no restrictions. So any model that you pick up, you can use with any army. Quote marks. So you've got a lot more freedom for building your list, which is good.
I'm definitely tempted by a primarily Spider-Man force, but I'm definitely picking up a Doctor Strange and maybe Blade, something like that.
Well, this is it. You could pick up the Spider-Man affiliation box, which I think it's got Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Gwen, and Spawn, I want to say, is in that box. Pick up Doctor Strange, and you've probably already got enough models to use for any size game. And that's what you're probably talking 70 quid tops, and you've got you've got a variety of different models to paint up to. So yeah, we're absolutely going to be playing that. I need to what we might do is have a bit of a Dave's first game of Marvel Crisis Protocol on the site, I think, where we'll kind of go through a tutorial mission and share it on Twitch here as well and on YouTube. I think
Matt batters me and calls it a tutorial.
Something like that. So Steve Harbour says, question time. After some false starts, looking at starting AOS rather than another Warhammer Fantasy Battle Army, looking for inspiration, can you guys recommend any good books or anthologies? Okay, so if we're keeping within like the kind of game supplements, if you've got a Warhammer Plus subscription, I believe all the Broken Realms books are now on the Vault. They are a brilliant read. They're some of my best kind of narrative stuff I've read for AOS. Did you guys read through them?
Yeah, well, I didn't read all of them, but the ones I did read, the earlier ones, I need to catch up on those. Actually, were fantastic. So yeah, I think actually I've not read much Age of Sigmar novels. In fact, I think I might have only read one or two. And I think the Broken Realm stuff does a better job of inspiring you to play Sigmar.
Yeah, I think there's lots of AOS books on the horizon this year as well. I think there's certainly a big push for more of them out. Andy, you read Kragnos recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still reading it. Well, not as we speak, but yeah, I'm still reading it. That's a good book if you like Kragnos and Stormcast, and you like Dead Ogres, which sadly I don't. But
Dead Ogres.
I tell you what, I have read though. I read the Dominion book, which came out with the Dominion box set when third edition launched. And if you like Crew Boys, Stormcast, Dawnbringer Crusade, or you just want a good story, that in and of itself was absolutely fantastic, especially if you want to get a feel for Gur, which is the current realm that it's set in. I think there's one bit where they end up on some marshland and they find all these dead, like squid-like creatures, and they don't think anything of it. And then at the night time, turns out all the squid creatures are nocturnal. So when the nighttime comes, they start attacking people. Yeah, they start attacking people and killing people. And then there's a giant squid monster, which is like the mother of all of them, and that comes alive. And the only reason that the Dawnbringer Crusade, minor spoilers, is saved is a Mega Gargant comes and distracts it and fights the Kraken, or this like giant squid monster. It's really good. It was a really good read.
Awesome. Yeah, so what I do, Steve, is maybe pick up the kind of battle tome of the faction you're looking to play as well, because they've always got a lot of kind of cool narrative in them and gives you the flavour of the army. I mean, we've mentioned it on the podcast a few times, but whenever we're looking to start a new army, the process that we tend to go through is head to Warhammer World, check out the exhibition, because you can always get really good inspiration going through there to find an army like visually and thematically that you like. And then the next step from there, pick up the battle tome. You'll get an idea of kind of how the army plays and what the units are like, but you'll also have a load of narrative in there that kind of, I guess, captures the theme of the army and gives you a bit more of a, I guess, an idea of like who they are and what the motivations are.
I think the most interesting part of it is what your faction's been up to, because there's usually a couple of pages in battle tomes where it explains what your army has been doing, like where they are lore-wise, and kind of like an up-to-date lore of where they are. And that for me is really exciting reading it.
If I were you, Steve, I'd also pick up one of the brand new Age of Sigmar armies instead of one that maybe's come over from the old world. So, for example, Ossiarch, Bone Reapers, the Stormcast, Idoneth Deepkin, etc. Is you might find that a bit more interesting to read about. Personally speaking, anyway.
It also depends on what kind of player you are, doesn't it? If you want a small elite force, then Gargants or Ogres are probably going to be one of your better bets.
Yeah, I mean, I think Steve was asking for more from like the narrative point of view to try and capture the feel of AOS, because that's an important thing as well as like how the army plays. Anonymous Rex says, I struggled to read through Kragnos. Dominion was a better book.
Oh yeah, 10 times agree with that.
He says that Kragnos had no relatable characters. Steve says, just a thought, is it worth picking up the Thondia book? So, Thondia is a really, really cool book, but it is more of a Path to Glory supplement. Anonymous Rex has kind of shouted out it's more a Beast Diary for Gur. what it does, it gives you lots of kind of like narrative play options. You've got the Anvil of Apotheosis, which you can use to create new characters. You can build your own custom heroes, which is really, really cool. Now, obviously, they're not going to be necessarily legal in every event that you play, but then, do you play events? Do you just play with your friends? We love the kind of narrative side of things, don't we?
We do.
So
This is true.
Steve is looking for something general to help decide on a battle tome to pick up. So
The rule books are good, bet I reckon, because there's lots of background generally on all the factions in the rule book, plus a bit of background for the Mortal Realms themselves. So you're not tying yourself in. The Broken Realms books are good because they do tend to cover most of the factions, but you'd have to read through them all. Whereas the rule book has got pages for each of the different factions. I think you can probably get quite cheap copies of the core rule book now because you got them in the Dominion starter set, didn't you?
You did,
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a shout. Sorry, Anonymous Rex also says there's the Mortal Realms audio drama collection I'd highly recommend. If you've not listened to the Go Trek audio dramas as well, they're very, very good.
They are
So
very, very good.
There's a series called, I think it was just called the Broken Realms audiobooks. And it starts off with like Stormcast chasing Manfred, and it kind of evolves from there. But those series of audiobooks are absolutely fantastic because they all follow on from the previous one, so it's just like a big series. And I think they did about 6 or 8 of those, but those were really good. Trying to think what else. They also did the Broken Realms books as well, and I think the one that I read was called The Call of the Archeon, or Call of Archeon, and it followed a Tzeentch champion, a Khorne champion, and a Nurgle champion, and all 3 of them got 2 stories, and then the final story was kind of the one that was going to become a Varangard, and that was a really good book. If you're looking for chaos, that was a fantastic story.
Awesome. That's really cool. Well, Tim Unwin in the chat. Evening, gents. How are you doing, Tim? How's it going? Steve's Steve read the rule book, but not enough for him. Yeah, if you've got a Warhammer Plus subscription, try the Broken Realms books. That'll give you a bit more kind of flavour around them. Also, the various what were they called? There was a series of narrative books they did early on in AOS.
The Realmgate Wars.
Well, yeah. So they're really worth picking up. And again, I'm fairly certain that they're on Warhammer Plus as well.
Yeah.
Jem Jackson says, agreed, the hardback rulebook covers everything for £15 on eBay. I went from Warhammer Fantasy Battle straight to 3rd edition AOS, and it was perfect. Yeah, so that's another nice segue into, with Broken Realms and what we're seeing now with the kind of narrative arc that we've got with the Arcs of Omen, we're seeing quite an advancement in the lore. And I don't think I've spoken to you guys on this in too much depth because, the video went up yesterday. What do we think of the developing lore that we've got in 40k at the moment?
I hope it amounts to something. Because when they brought out 9th edition, we had the big focus on, was it Guilliman and the Necrons, and then nothing really came of it. It was kind of used as a Necron model refresh, whereas we haven't really seen the Silent King do anything, and I can't really remember the last time
he just doesn't talk about
Guilliman was doing. That was funny.
That's why I'm here. I'm just here for the crappy jokes.
So yeah, if anyone doesn't know, whenever a new edition comes out, what we tend to get is a narrative series of supplements that kind of continues the narrative forward and sets things up for the next edition of the game. And with the Arcs of Omen one, Lots of big things have happened within this book, so I don't want to spoil it too much in case anyone wants to read it for themselves. But you see, quite a few things happen that I think are going to have a big impact on the universe. So one of the biggies is a new character, Vashtor the Archithane, who is essentially he's not a true god. He's a demigod at the minute, but he's essentially the god of technology and crafting and human ingenuity, which is quite interesting because obviously all the chaos gods are kind of created from human emotion, aren't they? And there's different I guess aspects to them based on those. So you've got Khorne, for example, being the god of war and hate and anger and violence kind of fuels him. In the same way, Vashtor is created from the fact that human beings are creative and they make things, which does put an interesting point on the Mechanicum, because or maybe not so anymore because they don't actively make new things, do they? They kind of like
No.
worship in the past.
The Votann better watch out then.
Well, exactly, yeah, and I forget on the lore ins and outs, but I'm fairly certain the emotions and kind of feelings of any sentient creatures in the galaxy do empower the Chaos Gods. So the Votann, even though they're kind of not keen on chaos, not much to do with chaos, maybe inadvertently fueling this new character with their creativeness.
No, don't blame me. It's nothing to do with me.
So what do we think on this? A new chaos god potentially appearing.
That's all we need, isn't it? Another chaos god. I'm not happy about it.
Similar
cool.
to what Andy said, I just want to see it lead to something.
Yeah.
Like what frustrates me more than anything, and every time we have this kind of discussion, I always bring them up. Yanari, right? They appear. You get these 3 new characters, and then that's it. We've had nothing really more for them. We're all talking about, that hopefully they'll get a range of miniatures, they'll get their own book, etc., etc. No, nothing. So, I mean, what I'm trying to say here is, I hope we see the likes of the Dark Mechanical or something at least very similar to that will fit nicely into our new mate here, whatever his name is.
Vashtor the Archithane.
Vashtar.
Do you want to give a shout out to Nick Rapson, who's just given us a subscribe on YouTube? Great to have you here. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Yeah, so the Dark Mechanicum is something that we've had kind of rumoured for a long time. And the question was always going to be, how do they do it? Is it just going to be Mechanicum with spikes on? And I think the fact that we've got Vashtor is a sign that actually, eventually, and I'm not saying it's going to be like this year or even next year, eventually, if Vashtor does get fleshed out into a faction, I think it's going to be something quite different than just spiky Mechanicum.
I mean, to be fair, he has a lot of spikes on him as well.
He does have a lot of spikes in him. He does have a lot of spikes. But do you know what I mean? It's kind of
like you've got the venom crawlers and things like that. A bit alien-y looking, insecty, rather than just spiky human technology.
Yeah, exactly, and that's very much what I'd like to see for it. Now it might be that it's a while until we get this. I can't see a brand new faction coming out in the near future because, well, we've just had the Leagues of Votann, where we've got the imminent arrival of the World Eaters as well. And let's face it, there's probably going to be a new edition of the game in the summer as well. So that doesn't leave a massive kind of window for a brand new faction, does it?
No, they're going to want to make sure the current armies get 10th edition books ASAP.
Well, it could be an early 10th edition book, but I don't think we're going to see it before the summer.
Plus, do we really need another faction? There's like 20 odd factions in 40k at the minute. But my only criticism of having so many factions in the game is you get a lot of armies and factions and stuff that need like model refreshes that just don't get it. They get a book and maybe a character, and it's like, okay, cool, but where's my generic troops? And I mean, you look at Age of Sigmar, there's I think there's about 26 factions in Age of Sigmar at the minute, and most of the battle tomes that have been released are just a book and a character, instead of units and stuff. So it's kind of like, do we really need more armies in the game, or do we need some more love for the armies that are already in the game? Who knows?
What does everyone else in the chat think on that? Would you rather see old stuff updated, or do you like getting new shiny things? There is an argument to say that a new faction it's shiny and it's exciting. It kind of breathes new life into the game. I suspect the Leagues of Votann have probably sold better than, say, I don't know, updated I don't know, Plague Marine Sculpts would have done. I don't know what do you guys think.
I know, I understand what you're saying, Andy, because you look at like Craft World Eldar, you've got Aspect Warriors that are 25 years old. You look at a Harlequin army; they've not had a new model release really. They had the single Harlequin that came with a Sister of Battle, but you couldn't even include it in a Harlequin army. But I also think Matt and Dave are right in that I think it's great to get a new range like the Leagues of Votann. And then we have seen them give Ancestors a battle. If you look at what they did for Adeptus Mechanicus, the Necrons, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with Tyranids, hopefully in the near future as well, for range refreshes. So I think there's room for both. I think they can alternate. I do get what you're saying though, Andy, because I do think it's a bit frustrating when you get, like Dave, your Skaven battle tome. You just get a Skaven model. I wonder whether they could fix that though by rather than bringing out like 6 or 7 new kits with a new book, just bring out new kits throughout the year, regardless of whether a codex or a battle tome is out. So here's new Space Marine Terminator Assault Squad that no one saw coming. There's no codex out for it. Maybe there's a supplement or a bit of Crusade content or something, but it's just a new unit that can you buy. That way, then every army's getting a little something, all the time, rather than you get your big Necron release. Necrons probably won't get anything now for another 3 or 4 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think they are starting to do that though, aren't they? With like Warcry and Underworlds.
Yeah, Warcry and Underworlds is great, isn't it? Yeah, Kill Team.
We're starting to see a little bit of that.
You say Necron's got no new models, but they got some new models with Kill Team.
Yeah,
new options and stuff. So I think where it makes sense, they can easily stick something out. I guess it's finding the balancing act, isn't it? Back when I started the hobby, it wouldn't be unusual to get the book with minimal few models, but then over the next few years, new models would come out for them. And the problem
you'd see them in White Dwarf.
Yeah, the problem they had is with the issues of releasing a book with profiles in but no models, third parties created models to fill that void.
Yeah, and I think that was a problem back then, but I think now everyone, lots of people have got 3D printers. Lots of people are 3D printing things anyway. Yeah. Games Workshop can't stop that. So, why not just think, well, it doesn't make any difference now. We'll release a codex that's got a unit. Because if you look at Conquest from, is it Parabellum game? They do that. You look at their army rules, they're all free. So their army books are free on their website. And there's loads of units in there that don't have sculpts yet. So people can proxy them for the time being or wait for the models to come out. Because generally, the quality of Games Workshop sculpts, you're going to want to pick them up anyway, even if you've been proxying something for 2 years.
Yeah, and I guess that's the selling point, isn't it, of the GW figures? That they are gorgeous sculpts, aren't they?
Yeah.
But, I get why they'd be hesitant to do that because, a lot of resources probably goes into creating models, and it's probably a bit disheartening if it does end up being that something sells worse than it would have done if they hadn't have released that profile ahead of time and everyone in the dog's already got a proxy for it.
Yeah, I mean, they do a lot of events now as well, which you can only take Games Workshop bits, so you could convert something up for the time being until the model comes out. I'm not sure. They've just announced something on a proper tournament scene in the States or something.
Not just the States, a world tournament.
Oh, right, okay.
So basically, there'll be a proper worldwide tournament. Winners from various events all over the world will be getting invited to a grand final. That's pretty exciting. It's not the kind of thing that we'd rock up to because we're terrible at Warhammer.
We might just go spectate.
Maybe we'll cover it. But I think that is pretty cool.
Is there a wooden spoon event?
There might be. I mean, that is the ultimate wooden spoon because you've got to win an event to be able to get the chance of getting that wooden spoon, Dave.
They just look for the
Yeah, that's not
worst,
happening.
like worldwide tournament player who, you know.
Maybe that's it. Maybe we should suggest this to Steve and the event guys. That, you know, a global worst Warhammer player event. We might be in a
Everybody races to the top. What about those that race to the bottom?
exactly.
Sign me up.
Yeah, the grand bottom table event. Maybe we should host that.
That would be good.
So yeah, but I know you're saying, Andy, about the lore going somewhere with the Arcs of Omen series.
I want to see some Exodites.
Wow, yeah, me too. And I know this is like in the breath after saying, well, is there too many factions? I think new stuff keeps the game alive and keeps moving. Yeah, you've got your balance issues, but I think you're always going to have balance issues, aren't you?
Oh yeah, it's just when you think about the game as like a longevity thing, where's it going to be in 10 years' time? You don't want to be at the point where you are releasing 3 books at the same time just to try and get them all out in 2 years' time. And we're kind of at that stage when you look at Age of Sigmar. Most battle tomes now are coming out as a dual release with another battle tome.
Well, we're on 3, aren't we? So January, obviously we had the kind of list of books they're releasing. We had Slaves to Darkness released at the start of the month. In fact, that isn't even out yet, is it? Technically,
It's up for
we had the
pre-order
Battle
now,
Box.
isn't it?
Is it up for pre-order now? Oh, is
Pre-order
it
next week? Is it pre-order next week? Yeah.
So yes, we've got that, but then also at the start of the year, we've got Gloomspite Gits and Beasts of Chaos coming as well. So I guess we're not quite 3 books the same week, but we're not far off, are we?
No.
And again, like you said earlier, the more of that we see, the more likely it is that some of those books don't have any model support with them.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because, you know, models are the cool bit, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
While it's a competitive game and people play it competitively, the models drives the game. You know, if no new models came out, there wouldn't be a Warhammer hobby, would there?
No.
So yeah, it's interesting to see kind of how it goes, which also surprises me with the Broken Realms, not Broken Realms, Arcs of Omen, the fact that there's no models coming out alongside this book. Now we know that Abaddon Angron is on the way, and we know that Vashtor the Archivade is getting a new model, but they're not offering pre-order alongside it. They might get releases in and around it. I really expected us to see a model release alongside this book. Now again, that might change as we get into the other volumes, mightn't it?
Yeah. There's. I suppose you've got to think that there's been so many issues with the release schedule. Maybe there was an intention of something coming out with this book, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah,
there's no rules in this book, is there, for like data sheets as well?
No, and I think they've said that there's not going to be in any of these books, because that was a complaint that people had about the narrative supplements, is that there was an expectation that to play your army, you needed to buy all these different books.
We spoke about that on the podcast as well.
Where if instead they've got the books kind of available, the rules available online, but have the books as just narrative and fun stuff. I think that's a better kind of approach to it. You know, we see that the boarding action kind of rule pack in here. To me, that's more exciting than getting, I don't know, a demon sub-faction rules in there with a load of stratagems that I'm probably never going to use.
Might only be valid for a couple of months.
Yeah, exactly. So I prefer this approach. What I am interested in is what we get for the next book. Obviously, we've had boarding action in this one. Is each of these 4 books going to have a different 40k sub game in there? I don't know if they do. I don't know the ins and outs of this. I kind of would like to see it. We've had lots of stuff that's not had support for a long time, like Planetfall or City Fight or Apocalypse. I think the Arcs of Omen series would be a really good way to reintroduce them. I don't know what you guys think.
As long as they don't oversaturate and have so many different game types, I'd rather them have maybe slightly fewer and keep improving those than just have loads of different subtypes of the game.
I mean, at the minute, technically we've got 0, Dave. We've got 40k.
And Kill Team, even though I know it's a different rule set.
Yeah, arguably it's a different game though. It isn't a different way of playing 40k.
We've got boarding actions now.
Yep.
And I suppose that's it.
Yeah, so it was just one really. You know, rules for fighting in cities would be really cool. It's not going to be a
New
massive
terrain rules.
Yeah.
Way back in the day, they used to encourage, like tanks and stuff would find it difficult to move around the battlefield, so it was more troops and walkers and stuff along those lines. So there's definitely units that would be better in city fight than like standard 40k, like Burner Boys, for example.
Especially if it lets you recreate the battles that they're doing within this narrative as well. Obviously, we're boarding action because Abaddon's sending a fleet of spacewalks out across the galaxy that the Imperium will be trying to board to stop. So when we get to the Angron book, like Planetfall was a decent supplement, and I kind of think that we'll see that because essentially from a narrative point of view, an entire fleet has gathered at this planet, and Angron just happens to be there as well. So seeing some kind of like planet strike game, I think would be quite fun.
Yeah,
you thought about this, like.
So yeah, it's interesting to see what we get. What would you like to see from this series then, Dave?
I would like to see some story evolution that is really truly taking on, like what Andy said. I don't know really. That's a difficult one because we know we're not going to get rules for models. So I suppose that only really leaves game modes, but I don't want too many of those. So you've caught me in a bit of a difficult question for me there.
Well, would you object to not having different game modes in, or in addition to game modes, what else could they have in these books if it's not going to be new unit rules?
I think. What about a solo mode?
Yeah, like I'm surprised no one's mentioned Triumph and Treachery style rules.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that you could have in these, where you've got battlefields with multiple things happening at the same time. Yeah, I think there's potential for lots of cool stuff. I do wonder what we'll get in the later books because, like you say, there's only so many game modes they can have. But I don't think like 4 different game modes that are introduced just during this to tie up 9th edition is too many personally. But yeah, it's interesting to see what we get, isn't it?
Do you think we'll see? Because obviously we've got the Arcs of Omen detachment now. Do you think we'll see any other types of detachments? I mean, you've got the boarding actions detachment, so I guess so. Because there could be like similar to what they've done with Age of Sigmar, where you've got when the new season starts, you get the new battalions, so like Galician veterans, it used to be, didn't it, and things like that.
Yeah. So the Arcs of Omen detachment is for this season. This season runs until June this year. The boarding action detachment is specifically for boarding action games. So if we did get like a Planetfall game or a City Fight game, I could see us having different detachments tied to that, perhaps.
Yeah.
But not. I don't think we get anything for the main game because I've specifically said people didn't like feeling they had to buy a narrative supplement because it had stuff for the main game in it.
Fair enough.
Well, Planet Strike used to have attacker and defender, didn't it? And
Yeah.
The defender could have more heavy support and troop choices, but the attacker could have more fast attack and elites.
Yeah, I'd love to see like a horde mode.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And again, with the Angron arc coming up, could we see something like that?
Now, interestingly, you've just reminded me that actually there is a Planet Strike book for this edition already, you know.
There's a Planet Strike book for this edition?
There is a Crusade book.
Ah.
It's staring at me.
Which book's that then?
It's literally it's slightly too far away for me to wheel over to. But when they were doing the Crusade supplements, like the Pariah Nexus and stuff, they did a Planet Strike one.
Okay, nice. Well, maybe like expanded kind of game mode on that, perhaps. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I say, it could be anything. I think the most exciting thing with the supplement, though, is the prophecy and what it could mean for the 40k universe. So, do you want a bit of story time? Do you want to hear the prophecy, guys, and see if you can have any ideas of what the prophecy might, relate to? Let's have story time with Matt. So, in my dreams, the sky is burning. The stars blaze bright enough to drown out the darkness around. My heart leaps to see their lights, and I weep to feel such hope. Then the stars start to die, faltering, guttering. One by one they turn away and crumble to ash that falls thick as snow. It lands upon my upturned face. It mingles with my tears. My hope has turned to horror. And as I drag my fingers down my cheeks, they trail smears of darkness that scald my skin. I sink to my knees amidst the ashes. I know that this is the end of me, of everything. Yet in that moment I'm seized by sudden knowledge, revelation. I can stop this. I tear my gaze from the dying heavens and I dig, terrified that I'm already too late. Something lies beneath the ashes. Something has been hidden deep, something with the power to stop the stars from burning out. My clawing fingers uncover a pattern in the ashes. I see a suggestion of furnaces and screaming mouths, of chains of hammers. At their heart stands a figure with eyes of burning cinder. It turns. Terror grips me, and I dig. There's another pattern sitting below the first. A fortress, vast and mighty, but gouged up by beasts raging about its walls. Again the cinders dance before my eyes, racing across the ashen bastion like cracks. Just before the image shatters, those glowing lines of cinders form the shape of a crimson giant. Above me the stars die and die and die. I dig. I see an ashen forest grow and wither and grow again. I see an ancient knight kneel upon his field of victory and weep cinder tears. I see a circle within a circle within a circle, inward and inward until at their heart nothing. And the light grows faint and still I dig. I cannot be late. And then at last I have it. The key is an ugly thing of brass and bone and rock. Its rusted surface is hot, burns my bleeding fingers. I cannot care. I must end this. But a key must have a lock. Even as the dream begins to fade, I feel my gaze dragged to the hollow skies above. I don't want to look, but I must. So few stars remain, and as they swirl together, they become a single searing point so bright it hurts my eyes. I know I've found the keyhole, yet even as my shaking hand raises the key on high, I'm gripped by a different fear. What has been imprisoned? What will I unleash? My doubts redouble, and I suddenly feel as though I'm being used, but now the dream has me and I cannot resist. The key slides into a lock that blazes with the light of dying stars. It turns and flames engulf me. I wake screaming, nails torn from swollen fingers, bloody tears streaking my face. Sometimes, if I'm lucky, it's days before I dream again, but I always dream again. Well, that's really mysterious, isn't it?
All I needed then was some more milk.
So what do we think this prophecy is about then? There's lots of references in there that I think are quite obvious. So the Crimson Giant is obviously Angron, isn't it? And the figure with hammers and chains and eyes of like burning cinder must be Vashtor, this new god of technology.
Oh well, see, you say that. See, when I heard that, I was thinking of Magnus the Red and Vulcan, and they have beef. And you've not read the last Horus Heresy book yet.
No.
That's all I'm going to say.
No. It could be. I think the hammers and chains and screaming faces. All of Demon Engines have screaming faces within the pipes.
All I'll say is read the last book.
So you think Magnus and and the
Well-
prime after the salamanders, eh?
Vulcan has the hammer. Magnus is a red giant, and Vulcan is doing a lot of screaming at the end of the book.
Right. Okay.
And also, actually, Magnus is commonly referred to as the Crimson King, isn't he?
Yeah,
But yeah.
but yeah, Angron sort of
We know
makes more.
book 2's Angron, we know book 3 is Vashtor.
Yeah.
So just without being too clever and going into Horus Heresy, personally I think that's what they refer to. The bit where it's more unknown is the references to forests and a weeping night, which in the review I say I think that's probably Dark Angels related. The weeping night could be Azrael because we know he's getting a new model, and equally the references to
Could be
forests.
Luther.
Yeah, it could be. And the references to forests. Caliban's a forest planet, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, in the I can't remember which book it is. That's one of Gav Thorpe's book, but the lion, it's basically a castle in a forest where the lion is sort of there. It's with Luther
and
before the Emperor arrives.
there's a line in there about beasts raging upon a castle's walls again. Is very Caliban-esque, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I personally think that whatever is inside this prison is probably the lion.
I am really hopeful it's the lion. I'll be really disappointed actually if it ends up just being Azrael, like a reason for him to be in the Ark Zone, because obviously we've seen that model.
No, he'll be in it, but
I want to be surprised.
He's not imprisoned, is he? He's at large.
Well,
in the
not
galaxy.
that I'm aware of.
So I don't think it's him, Dave. I think you're fine.
Yeah, I think the fact that they've shown off the Azrael model kind of hints at it's clearly Dark Angels. And well, what does Gilliman need at the minute when there's 3 demon prime?
He needs a
options?
hero.
He needs a bro.
Yeah, he
needs a bro.
And he's a Sanguinius.
Sadly, I don't think it's Sanguinius, unfortunately. Yeah, so the bit that interested me was the stars going out, and I mentioned in the review, could this be the Tyranids slowly consuming the galaxy?
So that would tie nicely into the rumours we've heard about the 10th edition opening up with the Nids. That would tie very nicely into that, in the same way that the Necrons were introduced at the end of 8th.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Tyranids, because let's face it, we've had Chaos knocking on the Imperium's door for like the last 10 years, pretty much since 40k came out.
Last 10,000 years, actually, mate.
Yeah, last 10,000 years. But we've not seen Xenos really rise up to the point where they are a serious threat. We know Tyranids are obviously a serious threat, but we've not done anything apart from destroying a couple of worlds.
Apart from destroy Baal.
Yeah, well, what's Baal compared to the Imperium? It's one planet, isn't it?
Wash your mouth, Andy.
Well, I know Blood Angels are one of my favourite legions as well.
So in the chat,
something.
So Anonymous Rex says he thinks they might be waking up Perturabo with all his demon engines. Interesting.
Yes, do it.
Anonymous Rex also says, someone building the Beastman stock loading box. I am indeed. Stefano says, I think it's good to bring new life with a new faction, but I agree that before that, a lot of old sculpts need to be updated before introducing something new.
I agree.
Anonymous Rex, they have War Scrolls in the box on the build sheet, so they could just have that and bind a rule books. Dave, you've been a big believer of binder rule books. Jim Jackson, you could call the event the Knights of the Empty Podium. I like that for our worst player event. Anonymous Rex says, I can imagine a beachhead game mode where you call in units via objective points, basically claiming landing sites. That's really cool. Multi-table shenanigans, death strike your neighbour. Anonymous Rex says, the return of Vulcan and the Beast are also good calls for the prophecy. They update the galactic map and realise a chunk's missing. Nick Rapson, I thought the Crimson Giant was a reference to Magnus. It could well be. I do not know the secrets of all this. But yeah, it's exciting. I like stuff like that. And what I also like is, again, I don't want to go into too many spoilers because people want to read it themselves. But the book doesn't reveal everything. We don't actually find out the ins and outs of what the deal that Vashtor and Abaddon have made. We don't know what's... We know that there's something imprisoned and it needs keys to open it. And that much we can imply from the prophecy as well. but we don't know what is inside there. Vashtor believes that whatever it is will aid him in his quest to godhood, and Abaddon believes it is something that will change the Long War. It's got something that will fundamentally change the Imperium. And again, the secrets of the Dark Angels could do that, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, whether he thinks he can maybe sway his brother, his daddy did something similar 10,000 years ago.
Sway his uncle.
His what?
His uncle.
His uncle, yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how it plays out. I think we'll get all the answers, but in some ways, it's nice not having all the answers.
Yeah.
It keeps an
I know what
air
you
of
mean.
mystery, doesn't it?
Yeah, I hope they keep it going throughout the new edition.
Yeah, well, I think this mystery will probably be I think whatever opens up or whatever happens will lead directly into the new edition. Because let's face it, if it is as we think it probably is going to be, the return of the Lion, then we see a bit of a shift in, I guess, the structure of the Imperium, don't we?
Am I the only one though that's feeling a bit? I don't know. Like I can't get excited. Like I can't. There's been so many false dawns when it comes to loyalist Primarchs coming back that almost I don't want to believe it. I don't want to even think that it's possible.
I don't think there's ever been any GW kind of pushed Return of a Primarch though. There's been a lot of people on the internet who've got very excited and maybe read into things. Maybe selectively hoping that there's going to be a Return of a Primarch, but I think this is the first time there's outright been any kind of like potential for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, because people see a Games Workshop, so there's going to be earth-shattering news in the next preview, and immediately online it's like, yeah, Primarchs are coming back. Probably not, based on what's happening, and GW have never said anything to indicate that.
No.
With this, I think there's enough. I might be completely wrong, and maybe it isn't a Return of a Primarch, but I think there's enough nods in this for it to potentially be a thing this time. But I don't think that we've ever outright had that promised by GW before. I think it's just people maybe getting a little bit ahead of themselves, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, we know that the Horus Heresy series is coming to an end, isn't it? So, do you keep the Primarchs that are still alive just in Heresy, or do you bring them into the current narrative, and then you can sort of release them in plastic, and 40k is, dare I say it, more popular than Heresy. So I think it'd be cool to bring the Primarchs back into 40k, and I mean we've seen Mortarion and Magnus, we've got Angron on the horizon, you've got Gilliman, and seeing these Primarch characters would be cool, but then it kind of feels like you're turning 40k into 30k.
Yeah, I think the Primarch should be done in a limited manner. The point of 40k is that the bad guys are on the brink, they're against the odds. I've seen a lot of arguments that Gulliman needs like some support, but isn't the point that they're on the brink and it's all going to go wrong? And I don't know. I don't. The last Primarch that we got for the Loyalists was Gulliman a long time ago, and even if this is the Lion, I don't think it's going to be a case of like even 3 years later we get another Loyalist Primarch. If anything, I'd expect us to see Fulgrim first, because then it kind of plays into the Imperium against all the monsters kind of vibe that we've got going on.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, the Lion comes back and is no longer loyal.
Well, that is a bit of a game changer. I don't think they'd do that, though. I don't think they'd do that. But you never know.
Maybe he's just not. He's not Chaos, but he might not be loyal to Gilliman.
Yeah, and I think that'd be more interesting. It's still from a gameplay point of view, it's still Imperium. It's still the good guys, but having a bit of maybe animosity maybe to Gulliman would be quite interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting. The makings of another civil war.
Well, not even a civil war, just disregarding his authority as kind of, what is he, regent of the Imperium.
Yeah.
How does Gulliman then manage that, and his brother maybe not being so on board?
He writes a book about it.
That's what he tends to do.
That's some current political, not political. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. In the news, basically, in the news.
So it's exciting times. We know that book 2 is Angron, and presumably that drops the same time as the World Eater Codex. So I'm guessing that you're going to be excited for this one, Andy.
Oh yes.
It'd be interesting to see how the lore interacts between the Codex and the supplement as well. I've got a feeling that the Codex was meant to be out a while ago, just because there's pictures of Angron in both chapter approved and the Abaddon book.
Abaddon.
So yeah, I think that it probably was meant to be out by now.
So there'd be a bit more of a gap between them.
Well, the codexes are never telling a story right now, are they? It tends to be like a historical look back, where the narrative ones are events as they're moving.
Yeah.
It's very rare to have what's happening right now today in a codex, for example.
Yeah.
They often reference the events of, like, say, Broken Realms, for example, in the AOS books, and we get little snippets, but I don't think we'd get any, like, earth-shattering lore events in a codex, for example.
No, you're right.
But no, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Book 3 is Vashtor, and then, my boy Vashtor is going to get released, so that'll be cool. I really want to paint that model up because he looks amazing, and I'm interested to see how he works, whether he is a unit that can be taken by any Chaos Force, and whether down the line eventually we get a model for him, maybe an army for him. I think that's a given at some point, but I wouldn't necessarily bank on it being like immediately.
No.
So yeah,
maybe a gradual thing, like the Agents of the Imperium.
It'll take 20 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, with the with the Gathering Storm, we saw random models released, didn't we? We got
the
Belisarius
triumvirate
Call,
stuff.
yeah. So it's not out of the question that we see this kind of in a couple of years expanded out to an army. I don't think it's going to be right on top of this book, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's an early book in 10th edition and ride on the kind of popularity.
Dark Mechanicum, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah, and a new way of doing the Dark Mechanicum.
Can I just say, I love painting Cadians. Just to like throw that in there.
Well, we're an hour and 23 minutes into the stream. Should we have a little update of how we're getting on? Dave, what are you working on? Do you want to hold up what you're doing to the camera?
I don't think I can hold everything up, actually, Matt, because I've got 10 models on my painting desk here. I've got 5 command squad, although actually 2 of them are done apart from the bases, so ignore those. I had 5 casting, which were already quite far along, but the rest of the command squad really weren't. So whilst we've been chatting hobby, I've managed to do the armor and trousers, kind of the brown on the command squad. I've done a lot of the leather work. This is all like base coats, really. All the leather work, the faces. I'm just doing some of the leather now on the command squad. Once I've done that, I might actually start doing lead belcher on them all. But I'll pick up a couple. For example, I've got my Master Vox there. He's coming along quite nicely.
Nice.
Who else have we got? Yeah. What else have we got? We've got my medic here. Just been doing some paint on him. Who else have we got? Medic. This guy's cool, isn't he? With the mine, the carskin. He's cool. So I've made pretty good progress in this last hour and 20 minutes, I'd say.
Have you enjoyed painting them?
Love it. Absolutely love it.
That always helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying painting these guys.
So again, massive thanks to Games Workshop for actually sending over the
Yeah.
the Cadians and the Leagues of Votann that were.
If I could do some sort of heart symbol with my hands towards the camera, I'd do that. But
fair enough. Jay, how are you getting on?
Yeah, so I spent the day putting like the base colours onto the bikes, so that then after the washes have dried on, I can actually start getting to the painting bit. So I've been doing the highlighting of the blue, highlighting the brown. I've brought the silver back up to a shine after I've applied the null oil wash. All the pieces are sort of coming together now. So I'm just doing the black now. So blocking out the black, and then I'll highlight it. And then what I'll do is I use thin down Rhinox hide into the recesses on the blue and on the black to give it sort of like a dirt look to it. And it just adds a bit of warmth to the black especially, but it also looks very nice on the blue. And then these guys are almost ready. So you can see all the different sub-assemblies here. Almost ready to put together. So before I do that, you can see the riders. The blue's done on there now, but I need to do the brown cloak. But the colour for the cloaks I do, it's I don't shade it with null oil. So I will do that last, and then I think I need to check the instructions because I'm pretty sure I have to put the sort of rider in first before I attach the rear grav plates or whatever they're called. But yeah, they're coming along really nicely. So I think I don't know if they'll get them finished tonight, but I think one more evening on these, and that's the bikes done, and then I'm almost there.
Nice. Would you recommend anyone in the audience who's thinking of painting them to do them in sub-assemblies then?
For these ones, yes. So you can see underneath. Now, I mean, bear with me 2 seconds. Let me grab if I can stretch over there. Where is it? Here. So this is the bike I painted for the. Let me know when you can see that on the camera.
Oh yeah, we can see that.
You can see that. So this is the bike I painted for the review, and I fully built this and painted it. And it probably took me as long to paint this bike as it has done to paint all 3 of these bikes. And I really had a problem getting to. So if you see it, this one here, if you can see the sort of cables and the suspension and things underneath, it was so tricky to get to it on this model. Really hard. Even the plates were very tricky to paint. It wasn't an enjoyable experience. So yeah, I would recommend building like your main bike, leave the rear tires, grav plates off, build them up as a sub-assembly and paint them separate. And then obviously leave your rider. The rider just clicks in afterwards, so it's really easy to do. When you're putting it back together, though, make sure you check the instructions because I'm pretty sure this guy has to go on before the back wheel things go on. The only difficulty you'll have is holding the model because there's not really a nice place to sort of attach to a stand or a glue tack to a paint pot. These bits are even trickier. That's the only sort of inconvenient bit about it all. But yeah, no, I'm glad I kept them as sub-assemblies.
Cool. How about you, Andy? How's the World Eaters going?
So slowly but surely, I basically spent the first hour and a bit just base coating them all with Mephisto Red, and now I've been doing the gold trim on Khan. But yeah, I mean it's taken a while. I mean he's a gorgeous model. But there's a lot of detail on him. So yeah, it's going to be a slow labour of love. And as I'm talking right now, I've just noticed a load of gold trim that I've missed as well. So yeah, back to it. Yeah, he's taken a while, but we'll get him there.
He'll be
only to get shot and killed by a lasgun game 1.
Oh no, he's going to kill loads of guardsmen, Dave. Don't you worry.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to our little campaign that we're going to be doing.
I cannot wait. Honestly, I am so looking forward to playing some games of 40k Crusade. Really, really looking forward to it. It's kicking off this month, isn't it? January. We're doing it.
It is, yeah. And game 1 is going to be the Votann versus the Demons.
I need to get cracking then on me greater demon, don't I?
Absolutely.
Oh, don't worry, Matt. I was supposed to be doing Death Guard for it, so I've got 10 Poxwalkers and 5 Plague Marines painted for it. So
It's all good. It's
Yeah.
all good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So is it all kind of written and good to go then, Dave?
It's written in a plain, boring form. It just needs to be edited into my pack, if that makes sense. Like I wrote it all out with this thing called pen and paper. Don't know who uses that anymore. And now I need to digitalize it and make it look cool.
Digitalize it and make it look cool. That's very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I think more so because none of us guys, apart from Dave, know like the ins and outs of what's
Yeah.
happening,
What the story is, yeah.
and it's all
Hope
about
it
the
doesn't
story.
disappoint.
I'm really going to town on this crusade. I've got my book of grudges. I'm going to try and sci-fi up a little bit before we go to the event, and I'm also we were talking about it on the podcast, but I'm going to paint some resource nodes up as well. So these will be what I'm looking for during games. There's an agenda and also a secondary objective, so I can use my match play as well, where you're looking for. There's like 4 types of resource I think the Votann can collect in Crusade. So I'm going to try and build them up. I've got some spare Ironkin bits. I'm going to have some like little drones, like capturing them and things like that.
That's really cool. I like stuff like that. It kind of it gives you a bit of a narrative behind the army. Even if you don't lean too heavily into the narrative, it gives you something like fun to interact with your opponent.
Yeah.
No, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what you've done, Dave.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't disappoint.
And of course, killing lots of guardsmen is going to be my top priority.
Hold on a minute. There are other armies playing, you know. It's not all about killing guardsmen.
You say that.
It's about killing guardsmen.
One of my objectives is to kill a load of guardsmen, Dave.
Unbelievable.
Do you think we should have, between the 3 of us, a special award for whoever kills the most guardsmen?
Yeah.
I think so. That sounds a plan to me. This campaign of Dave's is rapidly getting out of hand, isn't it?
Absolutely not naming all my individual guardsmen because it sounds like I could be running out of names.
Andy, have you got any corn transfers left? I'm going to put some on Votann.
Oh, probably have. Yeah, somewhere.
Corn
Oh,
Votann.
dear.
That's some kind of heresy right there, isn't it?
Nah, they didn't get involved in heresy. I don't know. I wonder what they were doing during the heresy.
They
Galactic Core, just chilling.
they were elsewhere, I think, at the time. Keeping out of trouble. Stefano in the chat
Keeping
says,
their head down, but
well, they're only little anyway.
Yeah.
So Stefano in the chat says, I'm assembling this chain rasp number 42 of 50. I had a bad idea back when AOS Soul Wars came out to split 3 boxes with friends. That's cool. That's really cool. Chain rasp are cool models as well.
Yeah, they are. I really like the Nighthawk. They were really fun to play against when you had them. Although they've got so many special rules. I don't know if any army comes anywhere near the amount of special rules that the Nighthawk have.
They're really fun to
Lumineth.
use as well.
Lumineth have got quite a lot of rules.
Lumineth, Force Skaven.
Seraphon, they're pretty labour intensive.
Slaves of Darkness with all the various marks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what we get up to. I'm also looking forward to. We mentioned Marvel Crisis Protocol earlier. I'm really looking forward to playing some games of that. We need to book a game in soon, chaps.
Yeah. Matt, you asked all of us like how we're getting on with our hobby. How are you getting on with your hobby?
Well, I am currently building Beastmen. So I've managed to build the Beast Lord. Not Beast Lord. He's a shaman. He's very cool. Considering these raw models, they do stand up. The Ungors were a little bit fiddly to build, and they suffer a little bit from the. You can tell that they've got the options of building them with bows or with melee weapons or with spears, because sometimes the head doesn't fit like perfectly in some of the models, which is a bit of a symptom of those older ones. Personally, I'm more of a fan of the more modern kits where they tend to just go together one way, and you've got locators on the arms, because even though you've got less variety over the army, I think it looks better as an army, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, but they're really fun to build. The plan is to try and ideally I'd like to take these to our doubles, Dave,
Oh, right.
but I think I'll probably struggle to get them done in that time. But it'd be fun if I could.
Yeah,
But
it would.
obviously, we know we've got the Beta Chaos book on the horizon very soon. So, at the very least, we want to get these guys built for that, because then we can do a battle report with them,
Mm-hmm.
which would be exciting. I know you've got some gobbos happening in the background as well, Andy, and they're due soon
Yeah.
as well. So, it'd be good to maybe do a gobbos versus Beastman battle report if we can.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I bought the Squiggalanch box set for Christmas, so
Oh, nice.
I'm up to my eyeballs in squigs.
The Squiggalanch, nice.
I've got
So-
some Age of Sigmar on the way, actually. I got some Christmas vouchers. I've ordered a Skink Start Collecting set.
A skink.
Nothing to
start
do.
collecting
Nothing to
set.
do with the silhouettes we seen at the last week.
Well, let's talk on these. There's been some exciting stuff teased there. Well, looks like skinks riding velociraptors, which
Yeah.
very much appeals to me. I mean,
Man,
that's,
imagine if that is actually what they are.
well,
That's bonkers.
they did have models back in the day.
Yeah,
So
it was a special army list, wasn't it, from the
It was,
Southlands?
so I'm fairly certain that probably is what it's going to be, which would be amazing.
It was a really big silhouette as well, which it wasn't clear what it was. A closer examination showed what looked like a skink on it. So I think the internet are sort of thinking it's a new slan, which it could be. It's certainly there's no it doesn't jump out as slan. I'm not saying it's not a slan, but it's going to be really interesting to see what that model is. And then of course there was the silhouette of the Saurus Warrior as well, or some kind of Saurus anyway.
Yes.
Probably a new hero. A lot of their heroes are fine cast, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean the slan is currently Finecast as well, so a new slan wouldn't surprise me, even if they mix it up a bit. We had Mazda Mundi back in the day. What about just a generic option for a slan on a dinosaur? That'd be pretty cool.
They didn't do a plastic slan when they did Croak.
Yeah, but I guess
like an alternate build. Yeah.
maybe they want them quite different. Like I said, give them a mount or something. Yeah. What about a slan on a pterodactyl?
Flying frog.
I feel bad for the pterodactyl.
The sky's the limit. In the chat, I can mix this. What do you guys think of the GW supply drops? Are they a good idea? So I picked up one of the supply drops in the previous one that they did. This was a while ago now, wasn't it? And it was the Imperium one, and it had a bit of a random assortment of stuff in it. So it had some Space Marine kits, it had some Sisters of Battle kits, it had pretty much one of each plastic special character for each Space Marine chapter, which from building an army maybe is not ideal, because you're not going to need a Blood Angels character, a White Scars character, a Dark Angels character, are you? But for people who were wanting to paint lots of different stuff, it was pretty cool. Now, with the new ones, some people have posted what's been inside them, and I think they're really, really good. The Underworlds one was the, I forget what it's called, the previous Warhammer Underworld starter box, which I think is 60 quid alone, and the box that contained the Stormcast and the Cruel Boys as well.
Oh, nice.
So really good value box. Obviously, if you already played Underworlds and you had them, that's probably less value. But for new players, really good way to get started. The Elf one was really, really good. It was a Vanguard box for the Daughters of Cain and a Vanguard box for the Ideneth Deepkin, which is like £180 worth of models. And I think it retailed at about 80 quid.
Wow.
And then the Order one came with a Fire Slayers Vanguard box and a box of Vigilers, I believe.
They're really cool models.
Yeah. Anonymous Rex says I got the Elves box. It had the Vanguard Ideneth and the Vanguard Witch Elves box, so double the value. Yeah, I kind of wish that I'd picked one up. because I play them. It's a bit. I don't know what the 40k one had. If anyone in the chat has picked it up, let us know, because I would be interested to know what was in that. But
I think it had Fabius Bile. Oh God, what did it have now? Definitely had Fabius Bile, and I think there was an Orc Truck.
Oh, Deathcopters.
Deathcopters, yeah.
Can't remember what
It
else
had
was in it.
some random stuff in it. It was a bit.
so a bit
I-
random. The
I
other
look
ones
at
are
the
quite.
supply drops, and I think to my.
Go on.
I look at the supply drops, and I think to myself, I'd rather spend 80 quid on models that I want rather than random models. I mean, yeah, all right, fine, you do get some good deals, but like the Space Marine Imperium one that you got a couple of years ago, I look at that and I'd be disappointed because none of those models are stuff that I would want to build and paint. The only reason I didn't go for one this year, I was very tempted to go for the Elf one this year, is simply because my pile of potential is, well, I'm only 5'2" and I'm struggling to reach the top of it now. So I was like, yeah, I'll leave it this year.
I like the fact that all yours are in at least one pile.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think I'd have liked them to be a bit more themed if the 40k one was a bit more random. If it was like, here's some random bits to start an army, that'd be pretty cool. And arguably you could do that with the AOS ones. But at the end of the day, it is a when stuff's on sale, it's because they're clearing out stock, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're making room.
So it's always going to be here's a bit of a clear out bundle. But the fact that you've got two Vanguard boxes for less than the price of a Vanguard box, I want to say, is pretty good going.
That's insane.
Yeah. So if anyone has picked them up, let us know. I know Anonymous Rex said they're glad it wasn't a character heavy set. But then equally, if you're just a painter, maybe you wouldn't mind a big box of different characters to paint up.
Yeah.
Would any of you guys pick on Andy? You probably would, but Dave and Jay, what are your thoughts on these kind of boxes?
No, they're in the wrong price category for me. If I was wanting to drop that amount of money, it'd be on something that I really wanted.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Cool.
I don't. You know, I can see. I'd love to buy one to kind of unbox like we would do for the channel, and the excitement of it, but not for that price.
I don't know why they don't just release them as a sale. You know, if you knew, Matt, it was going to be those two boxes, you would have paid the money to them.
But if you knew it was those two boxes, you wouldn't buy those two boxes. Is the reason why GW don't do? They used to do store opening sales and 3 for 2 sales, and they stopped doing them because ultimately people just wait for the sale and they don't buy it full price.
Yeah, I suppose that's a good point.
So yeah, it's interesting to see. I think the new pricing to retailers is gone live now. They're not passing it on to kind of customers, but there was a bit of a price increase to retailers. So I'm interested to see if that's affected any prices online of stuff. I haven't noticed Element, for example, being any particularly more expensive, but smaller stores might not be able to absorb that price increase.
No.
Yeah, I think Element are so big, aren't they, that they'd rather just lose a small percentage of their profit margin and keep the
customers
people happy.
Yeah, I mean,
I suppose
it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? They've not passed it on to the customers, which is great. There's not like a flat price rise. It does harm little independent stores a little bit, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, Element. I don't know what the margin is on, say, Crisis Protocol, which Element sell, and other sort of third party. There might be enough margin there for them to take a hit on Games Workshop without too much of a worry.
I think it's just the volumes that they sell as well. I think Element are probably the biggest seller of GW outside GW.
Yeah.
We've got some breaking news in the chat though. So I Can Mix says the 40k supply drop was Fabius Bile, a custom booster blaster, Deathcopters, Dark Strider, and a Redictus Saboteur. That is a random assortment, but you know what? They're all cool models. I wouldn't have been
Yeah.
too upset if I had that box personally.
I love those Deathcopters. If I was given a box of Deathcopters, I'd find it very hard not to do an Orc army.
Yeah. And then the order supply drop was Vanguard, Fire Slayers, Vigilers, a Knight Relictor, and an Auric Flamekeeper. So I think the value for money wise, they're really good. But again, it's down to the argument of, I guess, are you better off paying for things that you want to have rather than the chance of getting something randomly that might be cool?
These kind of things always remind me. I don't watch a lot of it now, but I used to watch a lot of Family Guy, and there was an episode where Peter gets a chance for a boat or a mystery box, when he's like, "I'll take the mystery box. It could be anything. It could even be a boat."
Yeah.
It always reminds me of that.
It is a little bit. It is a little bit. But I've got to admit, there's a bit of an excitement to opening a mystery box as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, well, I have built 10 Ungor Raiders. Now there'll be people screaming in the chat saying, "Don't build Ungor Raiders, you build normal Ungors instead." I don't care. They look cool. They've got bows. They're little cows with bows. It's all good. So I've enjoyed building these models. It's I'm going to need a lot of them for a Beast of Chaos army, I suspect, because they have got a summoning mechanic, haven't they? Currently,
They sacrifice Ungors, don't they, to the big cool scenery piece they've got.
that sounds like I need a lot more Ungors and a lot more things to summon as well. Then.
Well, I suppose it's actually, you will.
So yeah, it should be fun. So what is everybody looking forward to this year then? I know we've got a couple of events coming up. Both we talked about the 40k Path to Glory, not Path to Glory, Crusade, but we've also got the doubles coming up, Dave. Have you had any thoughts on what army you're bringing? Because it has changed weekly over the last few weeks.
Because I'm so busy, I really fancied bringing Soulblight Gravelords, but realistically, I've not even started painting them yet, and I've got so much Cadian stuff on my painting desk that they're just not going to get painted in time. So I think I'm going to be bringing the Rat Folk.
Bringing the Rat Folk.
There was a temptation to bring the Caradron Overlords as a complete, just one army in one boat. There you go, deployed. They're all on that Ironclad, but they don't have a current book, and I'm not super keen on their battle tactics.
I don't know. If you took the Caradron Overlords, I'd bring the Frost Slayers, Dave.
Oh, that'd be cool.
We could go double dwarfs.
Double dwarfs.
You never go double dwarf.
You know what, Matt? We might do that. That might be quite fun.
That's it. Decided live on the stream. we are going double dwarf. Yeah.
I think the list I wrote was an Arcanaut Admiral with 2 units of Arcanauts and a Navigator and an Ironclad.
What's his name?
That is.
What's the general's name, Dave? That's the most important bit.
I've got it written down somewhere. I named him years ago. It was named years ago when I played Caradron Overlords originally. I can't remember what it is right now.
Steve.
The pirate. Steve the pirate.
Yar.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Get that reference.
I don't know if you've seen Warcom today, Jay, but there's a surprise pre-order next Saturday as well.
What?
The latest Siege of Terror novella. It's going to be on Kindle and hardback and super shiny limited edition that I'm going to have to get and cry if I don't get. Garrow, Knight of the Grey. It's on the pre-order post.
Oh, okay.
So this tells the story of Garrow's final hours during the Horus Heresy.
Interesting, yeah, because he was in Saturnine, wasn't he?
Yeah, so his final confrontation.
Dies.
Well, the description is it's the final hours of Garrow, which isn't promising, and it's about his inevitable confrontation with Mortarion.
Oh wow!
Oh.
So yeah, that is up
Well,
for
which is going to
pre-order.
be interesting because that's going to be really. You've not read Warhawk, have you?
Nope.
Oh well, I can't tell you then.
These
But that's
these don't necessarily happen in chronological order. Some of them happen at the same time. So this might happen earlier in the Siege of Terror, perhaps.
okay. Okay.
But yeah, it's a surprise pre-order because it's not being talked about before today, has it at all?
No. Isn't there a Black Library event coming up soon? Normally in February, isn't it? the
February,
Black...
yeah. So February probably be when the next proper the what's it, the end and the death,
Yeah. You
which
need
is
to
a
catch up
quote,
then, Matt.
which is a quote from Samus as well. That. So I wonder if Samus comes back in some form. Samus is the end and the death, I think is the first phrase issued by him, and that is also the name of the final book.
Second to last book, isn't it?
Now,
Every
part
time,
1 and 2 of the final
Part
book.
one.
every time you mention Samus, I can only think about the Nintendo character.
Yeah, a bit of Metroid.
Yep.
Samus wasn't a big horrific demon though. Like
No.
Samus out of 40k.
No, absolutely not.
So yes, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be cool. Also, if you've seen that Horus Ascended is up for pre-order next week as well.
Oh man, yeah, he does look really, really good.
Yeah, and he's going to be available on the Games Workshop web store too. Like a lot of the Primarchs are. So
He's resin, isn't he?
it's a Forge World kit. Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks very, very cool, and I cannot wait to paint him up. In fact, I've got on my painting desk somewhere my original Horus, who was really, really fun to paint up. I very much liked working on this guy, so I'm going to need his Ascended version. The only downside is we're going to have to play some 4,000 point games of Horus Heresy
Yeah,
to
so
be able
you
to
can
use
use
him.
it.
That's crazy.
1,000
Well, lucky for
points
you,
of
Matt.
Primarch.
Lucky for you, Matt. I have 6,000 points of loyalist already and painted up.
Do you? That's a coincidence. Well, we need to make this happen then. Horus and friends versus a little bit of a Imperium coalition. That'd be very fun, actually. We should do that, definitely. So, yeah, how about you guys? Anything you're excited to do? Tim Unwin in the chat says, I'm looking at the Slaves of Darkness stuff. My poor wallet. Yeah, I believe the entire range is up for pre-order. There's dice. The Ogroid Theridans are available separately. Chaos Knights, Chaos Warriors, Chaos Chosen, the Exalted Hero of Chaos, Eternus Blade the First Prince, the Chaos Lord and Karkadrax available separately for the first time. The Demon Prince is available, the new Battle Tome, and a new Vanguard box, which is interesting.
Ooh, what's in the Vanguard box, Matt? I've not seen that.
So the Vanguard box contains a Chaos Lord. That's cool. 10 Chaos Warriors, the new multi-part Chaos Warriors, 5 of the brand new Chaos Knights, and a Chariot. That's a very good box.
That's a tasty box.
Dave's now looking at
Because
Chaos for...
It looks like the Chaos Lord in the Vanguard box is actually the new Eternus kit as well. It looks like it's a dual kit. So you get 3 of the new kits in that Vanguard box, making it a really,
cool.
really good way to start Chaos Army. That, combined with the launch box, gives you a solid Chaos Army. Well, I know what's going on my shopping list next Saturday.
Yeah, looking at the Chaos Lord, I think it's the old plastic one from which came out in 8th edition, one with the spear and the
No, it's
sword.
it's the mounted one with the Warhammer, the same one that's available separately. That dual builds as Eternus.
In the Vanguard box.
In the Vanguard box, yep. Oh no, you are right. He's at the front. The leader of the horses looks very similar to the new plastic Lord.
I was going to say we had a disagreement in the ranks there.
Still, that's very cool, though. That's very cool. It's definitely a decent box to pick up.
Yeah, well, I picked up the Slaves to Darkness Army box, and then I was lucky enough for Christmas to get the old Slaves to Darkness Start Collecting box as well.
Oh, nice.
So I'm looking at that and thinking to myself, well, I want some plastic Chaos Warriors. I want a plastic Chaos Lord. I want some plastic Chaos Knights.
You got a problem, Andy.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think I'm way down that rabbit hole.
That pile will be over 6 foot soon.
Oh, I need a ladder.
So we'll start a new fundraising thing on the channel to get Andy a ladder so he can get to the top of his pile of unbuilt stuff.
Yeah. I think this year, what I'm excited about is probably more Kill Team and Warcry. Especially Warcry.
Well, we can't be too far off the next box for each of them either, can we?
No, well, Kill Team, it was what, Shadow Bolts? And that came out in October-ish.
Yeah, so we're probably due a new one Feb. I forget what it's called, Soul Shackle or something, isn't it?
I can't remember.
So
here I am painting the casket from that box.
Yeah. So we've seen again teasers of the Adeptus Arbiters. I mean, they're in the army list on Warcom for boarding action, so they're coming and they're probably in that next box. We also see some silhouettes that look a bit Drakari. Soul Shackle does sound very kind of Drakari flavored, doesn't it? So it wouldn't surprise me if it is the Arbiters versus Drakari, which would be really cool. Now they could be a different flavour of Corsair though, Jay, maybe, but they do look a bit more spiky to my eye.
Yeah. You're talking about the silhouette. I mean, the thing is, though, the Corsairs, they do have Dark Eldar bits on them. So some of the helms are Dark Eldar helms. Also, you've got that Corsair who had the eagle, like the hawk thing, didn't he? From the it was a Kill Team, wasn't it, the box? I do think it is Dark Eldar. I'm with you on that, Matt. But there's not much between the Dark Eldar and the Corsairs, to be fair.
And it would be interesting to see them expand the Corsairs out further. We mentioned that earlier about releasing kits outside of the Codex cycle, so that by the time they get round to the next one, you release a Corsair character in a Corsair vehicle, and you can do a small Corsair force.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, I love those boxes. Kill Team and Warcry are both great opportunities for putting out stuff outside of those books. Like we've seen that there's stuff coming for the Lizardmen. We got the new Chameleon Skinks in the last Warcry box, which again, it frees up kind of like space in the release schedule for the mainline releases, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
is there any
next, Warcry box? I think it's called the Blood Hunt.
The Blood Hunt. Well, we know Khorne have got a new book. I mean, that narrows it down a little bit for one of the sides in the box, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But equally, you could get some Beasts of Chaos in there.
Yeah.
You never know. So yeah, what before we finish off the show, because I think we're nearly at 9 o'clock. If there was one kit you could get for Kill Team and Warcry, what would it be?
Man Eaters for Warcry, because they'd be perfect, and Kill Team.
Primaris Terminators.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Thematically, I'd like to see the final box of this season of Kill Team be new Gene Stealers versus new Primaris Terminators. That's Space Hulk, isn't it? Redone.
I'm gonna say an Inquisitorial Retinue.
That'd be very cool.
All right, guys. Keep picking all my guesses, guys. So I've got nothing to say.
What else will Dave like?
I think you could get a ranged Bone Reaper unit for Warcry.
Didn't we see? With a bow. Oh, it was in Underworlds, wasn't it? That one was. Yeah.
He was, yeah.
Maybe some Vikos Bloodborne for vampires.
Tyrian elves versus Malarian elves.
That'd be cool. And again, that's the kind of thing that because it's tied to Warcry, they can do it 12 months before a book comes out.
Konofi. I mean, Konofi would fit the theme right now, wouldn't it?
Yeah. They're literally in the forest, aren't they? Yeah. So yeah, but sadly, guys, it's 9 o'clock. So we're finishing the stream for today. Everyone in the chat, thank you for watching along. It's been fun. Next week, I'm probably going to be painting all this stuff. So yeah, I guess Dave, you'll be working on Cadians as well, and Jay, you'll probably still be painting Votann. So
Next week will probably be the finishing touches on the Hearthkin Warriors. Hopefully not though. If I can get my skates on this week, I might be working on some objective markers next week.
nice, that'd be fun
Ooh,
to see.
that's cool.
Awesome. So I hope everyone's enjoyed it. If you have, why not subscribe or throw us a follow? We'll be doing this every Sunday, 7 till 9. If you've got any feedback, leave a comment. That'd be much appreciated. And if you don't already, follow us at Sprues and Brews on Twitter. And we've got spruesandbrews.com, our website too. But alas, that is us for another week. We'll see you all soon and have a great week. Thank you, Spaxer, for following at the end of the show. We'll see you next